Your goal is to have someone say at the end, where am I showing up in my work that I'm not being true to myself, and how would it impact me if I fixed it?
Yeah.
How do we get there?
Well, I think you need to go at the core of what your podcast is. Like, I would imagine your ideal outcome is that if somebody listens to your podcast, to any episode, they would be able to take to do 2 or 3 things because they listen on their podcast that makes their podcast better. You know, if you're doing a cooking podcast, well, hopefully somebody will have, you know, the ability to, maybe like your goal is if you're doing a cooking podcast, maybe your goal is to make everybody feel like they can cook, you know, to break the barrier. Or you need to first go into what's the specific topic of your show. And second, you know, go into, if I want to leave something better to the world as a result of the show, what is it? You know, for me, I start with my listener in mind, and I start like, if you're taking some value away from the podcast for yourself, then it doesn't really matter whether you're going to hire me as a coach, you know, do anything, because I've done something. And at some point, hopefully you will tell somebody, hey, you should listen to this podcast because it helped me. And I think that, and some of it, you know, I think I'm in an interesting position because at the core of my podcast is the idea to be true to yourself. And so I have a little bit of an advantage in that gives me, on one hand, some guardrails in that I cannot be fake. And on the other hand, it gives me actually the ability to veer out of the strict podcast, because if I want to be authentic, I need to be willing to share things about myself that are connecting to the listener. So, you know, I did midway through my first year, I had a podcaster that I actually met at the convention where I met you interview me about who I was, so that, you know, and put me through the same script that I put my guest through, right? And so you want to get the good, the bad, and the ugly about Dino. There are 2 episodes about me where you can get that. And then, you know, one of the other tenets of my podcast is that you need to sort of think as a whole person in your life. And so the end of every episode, I ask people for a passion that they have. I have a question which I call, in my own script, it's not named this in the interviews, I call it the bullshit detector, which is I ask people which business jargon expression they hate. And then I have a question about what inspires people. And so I will have episodes where I talk about the thing that inspire me. I manage my wife. My wife is a singer-songwriter. So I did an episode where we interviewed her. And then because a part of my life and work is managing her, we did 2 episodes where we went through her records song by song and, you know, how she wrote them. And not everybody may be interested in it. And, you know, if you're just start thinking about the business aspect of my podcast, you can skip those 2 episodes and go to somewhere else. But if you want to have a genuine connection with me and you want to see everything that you get from me, it's there for you.